Hey there, Stampers. Welcome to Lunch and Learn. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Canada. And I thought that for this month's week of daily lives that I would try something a little bit different and do a Lunch and Learn. So every day this week at noon Mountain Time, I will be going live with a project featuring this Daisy Garden background stamp set from the annual catalog. Now, it's probably one that you have overlooked because I find I often overlook background stamps. So here is where you can find it on page 106 of the annual catalog, right here. So right next to the beautiful butterfly one. And the great thing about all of the projects that I share today, pretty much any of the projects that I share today, you can replace and use the Butterfly Brilliance stamp set as well. Just because of the nature of the cards and the techniques that I do, I think this, to replace this would work really well as well. All right. Oh, Carol has found me. Awesome. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, when I use a background stamp, we do sell a big block, a big clear block that you can put it on. But I find it much easier to use my Stamparatus because I find that big block, I've got small hands, so that big block is just too hard to hold. And I also find that oftentimes when you use background stamps, so it can be a little bit more difficult to get an even impression all the way around, or ink, like you might end up with a spot where it's not well inked. So the Stamparatus helps fix that, okay? So we're going to use the Stamparatus. I've got my stamp already mounted on here, and I've got my kit. So as with all of my daily Facebook Lives, if you place a $60 order this week, well, from now until the end of the month, I will send you the pre-cut pieces to create all 5 cards that I create this week. Okay, and I will also email you a PDF which has the photos, measurements, and links to all the videos, just so that you have it as an easy reference. So every day when I pull out my kit, that is what your kit will look like. So if you place an order, this is what today's kit will look like. So your label shape will be pre-cut for you. You'll have a little bit of twine in here. So all you need to do is basically stamp and assemble. Okay? All right, so we are going to start by stamping our background. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments here. Yes, you are right, Kevin. This background stamp would be wonderful with the dragonflies and with butterflies. So if you've got the dragonfly punch, that tiny little dragonfly in there, even the bigger dragonfly would be great with it. If you've got butterfly punches or butterfly dies, that is another great addition to this. So there's lots of things that it's a great kind of product that complements so many other products. Okay, so let's start by inking up our stamp. So when I use my Stamparatus, I always like to kind of have it even so that it's not at an angle like this. I find it easier to ink, so I like to slide a stamp case or an ink pad or something underneath so that it makes it a little bit more level. And I've got my layer. Now this is a piece of mint macaron cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4, I believe. And what I want to do is I want to position it so I'm not cutting off any of the tops of the flowers. Okay, I'm not too concerned with the bottom. I just don't want to cut off the tops. So I think that's about where I want it. And then I'm going to just add my magnet to the corner. Just make sure that that doesn't interfere. And the smaller the cardstock, the more difficult this is to do. So it'll just hold on just a smidge. Might be easier up at the top here. Normally I start with a larger piece. I'm not sure why I didn't cut it larger. That's not going to work. So normally I've been starting with a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece because it gives me a little bit more of an overhang so that it makes it something for it to grab. Okay, and we are going to do tone on tone. So I'm going to stamp Mint Macaron on Mint Macaron. Oh, you're going to love this, Elaine. The projects that I've got created for you guys, oh, I love them. They're so, so pretty. Okay, so I am inking this up with Mint Macaron cardstock, moving my ink pad around. Now, if you don't have the Stamparatus and you're inking it up on a clear block, this is still the best way to ink a background stamp, is to turn your, or any larger stamp for that matter, it doesn't have to be a background, turn it upside down and then ink it like this, because then you can see where the ink is. Okay, I think that's good. I'm trying not to bump the table. The table isn't very sturdy. I noticed it wobbles very, very easily. Okay, so now I'm going to put the stamp down and just apply pressure all the way around. And then I'll lift it up and see if I got a nice even impression. If I didn't, then I can always re-ink in whatever areas I'm missing. Okay, so right there, right in the center, and that's usually where you have problems on a background stamp. If you're going to have any problems, I'm just going to try pushing down. That's better. Okay, so sometimes it's not just a matter of adding more ink. Sometimes it's just a matter of putting it down again and just applying a bit more pressure in those areas. So let me bring it up a little closer so that you can see. See how beautiful that is? I love it stamped tone on tone. It's so, so pretty. Okay, then we're going to clean this because I want to stamp it again. So I'm going to bring in my chamois and just give it a quick wipe. And then I'm going to decide which flower I want, because what I want to do is I want to ink up just kind of one flower, and I'm going to cut it out. And I'm going to do this particular flower right here. So this one right here. I'm going to take Pale Papaya, and I've got a scrap piece of white. So now again, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, make sure that I can stamp on my white. That should give me plenty of room. I should have room for my magnet. Just make sure that that magnet doesn't interfere. Okay, and then I'm just going to ink up. I'm really going to concentrate it around there. Yes, I'll get a lot of ink around everywhere else. If you've got a Stampin' Spot works great for this. But I'm going to cut this out, so I'm not too concerned with getting ink everywhere else. That should be good. Oh, let's cover this over. Close that up. Okay, stamp that down. Again, I'm just going to concentrate my pressure just around that one image because that's really all I need. Okay, so even stamped, like you can see, even though this isn't the whole image, you can see even it stamped on white. I mean, you could create a beautiful one-layer card. One-layer card, just stamp the entire background with a color like this onto a white background, and then add a couple dragonflies or a couple butterflies, and that would be a simple but beautiful card. So pretty. Okay, I'm not going to worry about cleaning that right now. I can do that afterwards. Okay, next up, I'm going to bring in my tag. Now, this was cut using, let me pull out the dies so that I can show you guys. Okay, it was cut using the TaylorMade tag dies, and these, you are going to see me use these a lot. I love these dies. I've used them so much already. I'm missing a die here. I can't wait until we move into our place so I can put these on magnetic sheets, and I don't have to worry about these cases anymore. Oh my gosh. I said that this morning because I've kind of taken over, well, today, I've kind of taken over the kitchen table. I've got my craft area and like everything in between. There's stuff just piled because I've got so many things on the go here that I'm trying to get done before we move next week. Okay, so these are the TaylorMade tag dies, and I've gone ahead and I've used this second largest one with this kind of top. So there's a more traditional tag top, and then there's one that's a bit more decorative. And then these are actually the reinforcements. So if you wanted to add a little something extra, you could cut out the reinforcements in a different color and add those on top. Okay, but for this one, I'm just using just the white. Okay, I'll set those aside. And now for my greeting, because this is a background stamp and you only get the one stamp, there's no greetings or anything in it. So I chose the Color and Contour stamp set, which I am loving, especially the dies that coordinate with this. And you'll see me use the dies throughout this week. But I'm going to use this Thank You for Everything in here. I love it. I mean, you guys know I've said this. I say this over and over and over. Whenever Stampin' Up! Comes out with greetings that have like a combination of fonts like this does, so some scripty and then some block, I just love that. Love that. So I've got that mounted on my block. I'm going to use some Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp it towards the bottom of my tag. And I'm really looking at the word for, since that's a block, it's a word in a block font. It's easier to look at that word to try to ensure that you're stamping it straight than it is the scripty words. There we go. So it just fits right in there. The other thing I love about these tags is the stitching around the edges. All right, so now I'm going to bring it in my card base. So this is a standard size card base in Mint Macaron. Measures 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I'm going to add this. Oh, I stamped both sides. Huh. That's odd. Okay. So we will, I must have stamped an extra one and then just put it in my kit here. Okay, so I'm gonna add that to the center. That's gonna give me just a little bit of a Mint Macaron border around the edges with no stamping. Isn't that pretty? Just like that. Okay, and then I've got a piece of the hand penned DSP. So it's got this beautiful floral pattern on the background, and I could use this pattern. That could definitely work because it's got kind of, you know, kind of a minty color in there, and then it's also got the pale papaya, but I want to use this. I love this side. I think this pattern has been my most used pattern in this paper pack. I love the softness of the pale papaya, but then I also love polka dots, and I like how the background is almost kind of like a watercolor look. It's just so pretty. So what I did was I just flagged one end. I'm going to add some adhesive and then pop this down the side. And then this guy is going to go on with dimensionals. Now, did I bring my dimensionals? Yes, I did. So I'll pop this on with some dimensionals. And this is going to go down a little bit closer to the left. And then I've got a length of white baker's twine, and I've taken an extra long piece and then just folded in half. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie my bow, so I have a double layer bow. So I just tied my bow, I pull it so that I get an even loop on both sides, and then I'll trim these so that they're even. And I'm going to use a mini glue dot to stick that on. And I'll use my Take Your Pick tool. So each day this week at noon, I will be joining you with a live with a new project featuring this stamp set. And each day I'll be showing you kind of a different kind of way that you can use this background stamp. Background stamps I find are very versatile, and I find that they often get overlooked. Okay, so this one here, I've actually gone ahead and stamped one and fussy cut it, just so that you don't need to watch me do that. I'm going to add a little bit. I might be out of adhesive here. Let's see. Oh, I had a little bit left in here. And this is going to go on, hanging over the edge like that. And then I'm going to bring in some of our Genial Gems. Love these. I think this is one of my favorite new embellishments. I just love these. These are similar to what we had in the holiday catalog. They were red and clear. I can't remember what they were called, but I love them. I went through so many packages of them. So these ones are Mint Macaron and Pale Papaya. So that actually is where my color scheme came from. So I'm just going to pull out, you can see I've used all the Pale Papaya ones. So I'm going to pull out some mint and just grab a couple of these. I love the take your pick tool to kind of get right underneath there to make sure that you pull up the adhesive. Okay, so there's the outside of the card. Now for the inside, what can we do for the inside here? Let's bring back my stamp. Okay, and we used Pale Papaya was the last color, and I know I didn't color it or clean it. I think what I'm going to do is stamp about like that. So I'm going to stamp a portion just kind of on the left-hand side of the inside of my card. So again, I'll bring back my Pale Papaya ink. I'll grab a stamp set to put underneath here. Let's move it so I'm on camera. All right. And then now I'm just going to look. Okay, so if I go from about there on, again, it's okay if I get too much. I want to make sure that I ink up more than not enough. And I'll leave that out because I want to do my envelope as well. Straighten my cardstock a little bit. Yes. No, they are Mint Macaron. I think you could get away with using them on Soft Succulent, but they are Mint Macaron and Pale Papaya. Look how pretty that is. Even just a portion of it. Love it. Okay. Now, what do I want to do on my envelope? I think I'm going to do the same thing, just a little bit lower. So I'm going to put my envelope up a little bit higher. I'll re-ink that. Stamp that down. The other thing about this is this also coordinates with, we've got another Daisy stamp set in the catalog. I meant to look up the name of it. But it coordinates with that. We did, last year we had two of them. I can't remember if one of them retired. And then we have the Daisy Punches as well. So that whole collection of Daisy products, you could do a nice mix of products. And if I didn't have mine packed away, I could just show how you could use those kind of together, but unfortunately, this is the only one I have available to me right now. So, okay, so we've got our envelope, we've got our inside. I'll grab my adhesive, add a bit to the back here, add this to the inside of my card, and our card number 1 for the week is done. So remember that if you spend $60 with me, I will post the host code in the description after I'm done here. Then I will send you all the pre-cut card kits to make all 5 cards that I create this week. All right, so there's the first card. I can't wait to share with you the rest. They just turned out amazing. I love them. But before we go, I want to share another project. Some of you may have seen it. I posted the details earlier this morning on my Facebook page and on my blog, but this upcoming class that I'm super excited about. This is where is my sheet? I had a sheet here with all of the information. It appears to have gone missing. Okay, I'll go from memory. It is a 6x6 interactive mini album class that I'm running on June 26th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. It'll be virtual, so it'll be on Zoom. If you can't attend the live session, that's not a problem. Everything will be recorded and you'll get an email with all of the information afterwards and a link to the video. And look at this. Let me show you. I'm going to do a quick flip through of the album. So this does not include any stamping. So you do not need to have any stamp sets. You don't even need to own this product. You can use whatever it is that you have on hand. I will send you a supply list if you register for the class so that you can make sure that you have everything that you need. But basically, if you've got patterned paper with some coordinating cardstock and some coordinating ribbon, you'll be able to create this album. So see, it just keeps going and going and going. Let me move this up. And then we've got another flap down at the bottom, and then it opens up in the middle as well. I had so much fun creating this weekend. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to share it with you guys. I just love, love, love how it turned out. All right, so in the description, I have a link to where you can find all the information on this class. I'd love for you to attend. There's a couple different options, so whether you're in Canada or not, there is an option for you. So be sure to check that out. And it is, registration deadline is June 11th if you want the kits. If you're just gonna participate with the class only, then you can register right up till the day. That's not a problem. All right, so thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's Lunch and Learn. I will be back tomorrow at the same time, same place, noon Mountain Time, and with another project featuring this beautiful background stamp. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye guys.